me some feedback. Let me know what you think. British culture can seem like kind of a nebulous thing, but I'd love to know what you think it means to you. What is a British person? And I'm talking about habits, thoughts, morals, and the culture surrounding that. Is British culture something that you can define from the people? Obviously, if you live, and I should have maybe perhaps said English culture, born in England, live in England. But it's very interesting because politicians and people that try to start movements, they talk about preserving culture, but what is British culture? There are some thoughts I have. I would love it if people would jump in the chat and your instant reaction to it is, don't forget to subscribe, obviously. We're close to being monetized and I love my peoples, my family from Low to Earn Podcast. But instantly, how does that hit? If you try to describe British culture, what would it mean to you? A British man, what is this culture? What distinguishes him from a French person or an Italian person or a German person? What is defined? And is British culture something that you should fight to preserve? Or is it a free-flowing, nebulous thing? I think England has its flaws, but is a good country, man. Way better than a lot of other countries. But culture-wise, what is British culture? Once again, jump in the chat. Please subscribe. We are so dangerously close to getting monetized, and we've got a few advertisers coming in. Yo, Rasgel, you play still a brain rot. Brain rots, I understand. You play still a brain rot. Still, STILL, did you mean? Or still as in a steel drum, if I was a Yardie man. Chad B, yo, what's up, my brother? Sub if you say 67. 67. Let me do it SARMI, whatever the term is. 67. Respect, Chad. We're talking about British culture. What distinguishes it? There you go, of course. I don't even know if you're taking a piss, brother, but I don't mind. I have such little care about social media or the potential for being punked. I'm 42 years old, something comes of age, and pretty much my entire family has passed away. Something that gives you a sense of freedom, in a way. But the subject is British culture. Can we define it clearly? And is it something we should fight for, try to preserve? Perhaps when we're faced by people from other nations say, no, this is British culture. We like it. It's good. It will be an overall positive benefit to the world. Again, don't forget to subscribe, but please jump in the chat. Don't just try and punk me. What is British culture to you? If you could distill it down in don't even have to be brief. It could be a huge message that you sent me. I will take the time to break it down and read it. Like I said, once we get cooking on the chats, most people that jump in are actually pretty cool. Some of them are a bit childish and want to play, but I've been quite lucky to get some cool, intelligent people to join the chat. It's actually been pretty fun. Some from England and some from America. We get a lot of Americans in. And they're pretty cool too. But yeah, British culture, to me, if we break it down, there's an old-fashioned idea of culture from Britain that stems, I'm 42, like I said, so born in 84, but from back in the day, the dude says, I am here, my dude. First of all, pretty sick name. Secondly, subscribe, the dude. Yo, Chad B and the dude. Where are you from? You from England? You from the UK? Because I get down pretty heavy with the Americans. Whenever I check my analytics, it's always like, it goes up and down, but 60% England, and then a mix of the rest. Always America, the second, and then Australia and UK. Not UK, sorry. Australia and India. So I'm assuming it's English as your first language type thing. The dude says, I'm from Azores Island, Portugal, living in the Alps. Damn, son. You live in the Alps of France. Well, then you deserve to call yourself the dude, you bad motherfucker. Well, perhaps because France is close. The Azores Island, I will have to Google to learn more. Though I do want a vacation in Portugal, first of all. Then the Alps when I become wealthy one day. And make sure you've subscribed as well, the dude. But how do you view British culture? Like, say, English as well. I should have defined it as English because that's what I know. Scotland, Ireland do have a slight deviation of culture. They're cool, but it's a little bit more their own thing. For you as a person born in the Iberian Peninsula, maybe, like Portuguese, Spanish, your lineage might have a bit more of a mix than a standard Mediterranean, European type of look. But what's your opinion of British culture? When you think of like an English dude, what do you think immediately? I've got my thoughts, especially old-fashioned, like back in the day. To me, there's like an idea of an older professorial guy with a study with a library in his office at home. So this is including a bit more wealth. But the room smells like mahogany. He's got a bookshelf with a lot of really impressive books. He's read some. Oh, the dude has come back in. I must disturb to come back in. Hold on. I lived in the USA and Canada. From the UK, have a strong culture, and I love it a lot in Portugal. But the migrants, it's out of control, as Portugal is. Yeah, migration, man, it's so tough. Because I agree, you have to have borders. I can't remember if it was FDR or... No, actually, I think it was one that says, if you don't have borders, you don't have a country. And that is true. You have to have control over people coming in, especially as an island nation. It's not just about culture, it's just about keeping things moving, son. The things that underpin a nation, like medical services, education, you can't just have everybody rolling in. And then they talk about the difference of culture again, which we'll come back to, from people that come from different countries with different culture. So it's like messing up the flow of the nation. So I do get that. It's not a racist thing or a bad thing to say. Just for clarity, my politics are literally right down the middle, like centrist. I mean, my vote is up for grabs. If you make a good case about what you're going to do to improve your country, even if you're considered like sort of centre-right or centre-left, I will hear the case out and you could get my vote. It really is on the argument that you want to make. But the dude says, I love it a lot like Portugal, but migrants. And for anybody that's just jumped in, the dude, probably pretty wealthy, successful dude, lived on the islands just outside of Portugal, now lives in France, the mountainous Alps region. So I'm assuming instantly the dude, skiing, wealthy people, traveling, fucking hot ass blonde chicks whose daddies were rich. Ooh, Maron. What a fucking life, son. Don't forget to subscribe. Again, we're talking about distilling down and defining what British culture is. Literally, what is the soul, the inner thoughts of British people, how they conduct themselves in lives, what they give out as energy, how they see things morally, and is it something that we have to work to protect if you live in England, are an Englishman? There's like stereotypical views of people when we start to break down citizens of different countries. Everyone's got a slight difference in culture. a slight difference in, obviously, religion, country to country. That's just a geographical thing over time. So, Protestant is England, Christian overall, but becoming more and more either agnostic or atheistic. Church attendance has been dropping in England, while in America recently, it seems to actually be having a resurgence. A lot more people are focusing on religion in America, which again does form part of the culture. But again, specifically England, there is a cool type, and again, I am fight the power, help the working class. I wish the labor societies were stronger and less corrupt, so we could just make sure that hard-working stiffs that have got a family that want to pay for their home, be able to afford a car and a couple of vacations a year, got a better deal. Because right now the working stiff is getting kind of a raw deal, son. And that's not exclusive to England. Anywhere that has manufacturing and factories. I assume the same is true in America as well. But then there's always 2 or 3 like different types of groups of people based on finances, wealth, based on education, their job, then inherently what they get through their parents. England, I would say there's 2 Englands. It's not as big as America, because America is like literally 3 or 4 different countries, all in one country. Between the South, which I find very cool, the East Coast, like America, which again I find really cool. I think if you're not from America, you take in all the culture because America has the most dominant culture on people, from movies and music. You can either be a person that yearns to make your way to California, the West Coast, be a surfer, or I'm going to make it in Hollywood, or you love, gangster flicks, Martin Scorsese, Goodfellas, by the way, the most perfect 10 out of 10 film, never gets old, never ages out. I'm more of a New York person. I've been to New York about 4 or 5 times in my life. At my age now, 42, I don't know if I'd want to live there anymore, but as a young kid, looking at culture and being impressed by things, awed by things and wanting to move somewhere different, I was always more of an outsider looking at the East Coast. But in terms of the UK, like I said, it's really a couple of different countries. There is the more working class stiff, trying to get by, hardworking, stand his ground, is more resistant to changes and evolution, which of course, some are good, and then some are obnoxious and forced upon you. And then there are some in the UK that are constantly progressive, even while listening to the argument that's being given to you, being proposed. You accept the progressive, far, far, far left argument as wrote, because you think that's just a polite, good thing to do. There is a certain amount of the idea of politeness in England, which I think is a very good thing. I don't care about your politics. Just being polite, please, when you ask for something, thank you once you receive that thing. I think it's good for the soul of the person who receives it. And then they're more likely to conduct themselves in the same manner. I think it cools down hostility. And just generally, even if it's not people that are going to fight each other, if there's no violence being threatened, it's just a nice way to conduct yourself. Another thing in England, which that leads to, I'm sure it's the same in all nations, is you respect the elderly. We all have agreed that the elderly deserve a bit more protection. They deserve a bit more manners, a bit more. I mean, I've half a dozen times in my life, I've known someone in my local area. I've lived in a few different cities in England. If a woman is elderly and struggling with like 7 bags from a supermarket, you tell her, as long as it doesn't feel like aggressive to her or makes her nervous, then please, can I help you? You're, in my head, obviously, I would never say this, you're a badass bitch, but let me help you. I don't want you to hurt yourself. I walk her groceries to her house and then never ask to enter her house. Just bring it in, or do you want me to put it down somewhere? Or no, just put it on the threshold of the door. Thank you, you're a dear. That is English to me. But again, if you're American or Spanish or French, perhaps that's universal. One thing I really do like about England that we have, I know America has it for a little bit, and a lot of the cool countries in Europe that have the romantic languages, like France, Spain, Italy. This really educated, like professorial, like professors type people. In England, there's this weird type of dude. Again, I could probably see it, a different version of France, but that seems like so educated, very intelligent, but almost camp. Like when you hear them talk or the way they cross their legs, you think, oh, this dude's fucking gay, son. And he's usually a bit older. But then you find out, no, this dude is not gay. He knows Sartre, Nietzsche, back and forth. Has read all the works of all the classics, and you're like, you know what? This dude actually gets a fucking ton of pussy from young hot chicks because they're like in awe of his intelligence. That's something that feels like inherently a little bit English. But again, that comes into your position financially in this life.